Hello there guys, and welcome to Mad Doc Minis. In this video I'm going to upscale my Sanguinary guard into Primaris sized marines. I start off with these components from the Assault Intercessors kit, which are nice and dynamically posed, so they're quite appropriate for this conversion for Blood Angels and the Sanguinary guard. Now I take the front and the rear parts of the torso sections and trim them down quite significantly just above the belt line. Now this is nothing new. If you followed me for a while and seen any of my other upscaling conversions, this is my kind of go-to method, I guess you could say. Tried and tested, and I know what I'm doing, so I kind of stick to the same thing for this. But what you're left with is the groin area, and then of course the kind of butt area from the rear part of the torso, which are really two quite small components. So it is a little bit fiddly, this. You may instead want to glue the whole thing together and saw through the midsection, but it's entirely up to you. So once you've done that, the groin and the butt need to be glued together. I use super glue for all of my work, but you would be well advised to use plastic cement for a more secure bond. The legs are a little bit finicky to get into place, I will warn you, but just make sure you've got the correct and corresponding legs and you should be fine. And once they've been put into place and everything's been glued together, you'll then want to attach this whole thing to its base, and that'll provide a nice secure foundation for the rest of the conversion. And you'll need to do this as many times as you want Marines. In my case, I'm doing a squad of 5. So we repeat this step, this whole thing 5 times. So once that's been attached to the base, I then think about using the torsos from the Sanguinary guard kit, which are wonderfully detailed. So I really wanted to include these on the conversion. So I glue those together, front and back. And apologies about my daughter's hand. I'm not a mutant. I don't have 3 hands, honest. But we then, like Total Recall or something, isn't it? We then trim down the belt buckle off the front of the intercessor legs, and that just makes it easier to attach the torso on top in a minute, as you'll see. Otherwise it looks a bit strange with the buckle kind of sitting too proud out the front. So just trim that down, then grab a little bit of milliput. You want a kind of pea-sized sphere, not much. Always use less than you think. Push that down into the kind of hole a little bit there and mush it into a gumdrop shape, just like this. Then the torso is going to get pushed down on top of that. It will squish out a little bit to the sides, giving the Marine a kind of muffin top, but you can smooth that down with a kind of wet finger. A little bit of water does the trick. Don't worry too much about tidying it up, because we're going to hide it anyway with some stowage and grenades and pouches and all the rest of it. So it's now time to attach the jump pack and the wings. It's good to do these first because it kind of dictates a little bit where you're going to put the arms. So weapon arms come next. And then the kind of shoulder pauldrons, and then of course the head. And I used the death mask because I thought that was, you know, something really, really good about the original Sanguinary guard kit. So after that's been glued together, that's kind of pretty much it. I then attached the stowage around the waist, various grenades and pouches that I could scrounge from anywhere. They just all went around the waist to hide that nasty midsection. So I gave them a very, very basic tabletop paint job. Don't be too harsh on the paint job, guys. I'm not a painter, but I just wanted to show you what they might look like with a lick of paint. And I think they turned out well. I'm really happy with some of the posing here. And I just like them being nice and grounded and charging and running on the ground. I don't really like putting miniatures like this on kind of flight basis. It's not something that really pleases me. But of course, you can do whatever you want. You know, they're your miniatures. Do what makes you happy. The miniature I'm most pleased with is actually the guy wielding the great big power axe. For some reason, he just came together really, really well. And I didn't really even think about the posing. That just happens sometimes with miniatures, doesn't it? It just comes together nicely. If you've enjoyed the content, guys, please consider liking and sharing. It really does help the channel to grow. And if you're not already subscribed, consider giving me a sub. I really do appreciate all the support. Thanks ever so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers.